Hello, come on. Well, good morning, everyone. I'd like to open this Polk County Board of Commissioners November 22nd. All commissioners are present. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic which stands one nation. So before I start this meeting, I'd just like to have a moment of silence in memory of former Polk County Commissioner Tom Ritchie, who passed away this last week. So if you'll please bow your heads. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Looking for approval of minutes on November 8th.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Forest Corner Road, Power Corner Road update. Come with me. Floor is yours, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot. So I just wanted to follow up with the Board of Commissioners about some of the work that we've done since the last meeting. I think it was in the 26th of September. So some of the concerns that you all spoke to us about was the detour on Riddell Road and some of the issues that were associated with that. So since that time, we have eliminated the detour we're going to temporarily widen 99, which will eliminate that detour altogether. While we weren't able to eliminate the closures of Polk Corner Road East and West, that's just an inevitable part of the work. We were able to reduce the duration of those detours by, working closely, working with the construction. One of the things that we had improved upon by reducing, say, the Cloud Corner East closure by not closing that over winter time. So we're able to cut the duration of that closure by approximately 6 months. And so now we're planning on closing Cloud Corner Road East for a period of 5 months. That's the total closure time, ranging starting in 2024 between January and up to June. And so I think some of the other concerns that were raised was the consultation with the farming community and consultation with emergency services. So I've made an effort to go out and speak to Polk County Fire District, I think 120, 140. There's 3 of those fire districts which encapsulate, which have jurisdiction in along Cloud Corner. So I've spoken to Delta Fire and EMS. I contacted West Valley Hospital, but was unable to get any feedback from them. But essentially the feedback that I was given was as long as we give them appropriate advance warning, they can work with the closures at the location. And additionally, I went out to the farming community, spoke to 2 farmers. One was Julian Lafayette, that's out of Polk Corner, and then BDS Valley Farms. We sent out a mailer to all the affected residents about the closures. About 33 different residents out there and surrounding properties, and didn't receive much feedback other than what we got from those 2 farmers. Their main concerns about the project itself was more about the roundabout and how farm vehicles would traverse the roundabout. So I shared with them some design drawings showing the widths of the roundabout. Essentially, any of the vehicles that they have now that cross Cloud Corner and 99 would be able to cross with the roundabout. Some of the concerns they were having about whether they, why can't we put a stop light in the location? And I tried to explain to them about the safety benefits of the roundabout, and while I guess the common argument is, you know, we've got a stoplight at Hoffman and 99. And that's not a high crash location, but that's unusual considered that location in other areas around the state. I guess kind of what they consider an anomaly, but typically with those facilities, they do have a lot of crashes. So while it's not representative of the common approach that we see, so that was, I guess, a kind of a side discussion that I had with them to try and explain the benefits of why we're putting in a roundabout at that location. They also told me about their farming season, particularly about the overlap. So while there is a little bit of overlap to when they need to get farm vehicles out, means out of direction travel, by minimizing it to the first, I guess, 6 months of the year. I'd like to start the work earlier in 2024, but weather is also a constraint for us. We can't get out there super early just because we just don't know what the weather's going to be. So it was a compromise solution where we having to have some overlap with the farming season, so that might experience some out of direction travel. It's not going to be through their most busy period of June, July, August, you know, going through November. And when Cloud Corner Road West is closed, there'll be alternate access for them to access, I guess, east of Cloud Corner through 99. Through that. That's the results of where we were from last time. Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, so update us again on Orr's Corner.
Orr's Corner is going to be built in 2023. So June through to October. So that'll be the first phase of the works. So we're splitting the project into two parts. So Orr's Corner will be built in 2023. Some work will happen at Cloud Corner in 2024, but there'll be no road closures in 2023 at that location. That's all, I guess, all in an attempt to minimize, closures at that location.
Yeah. So the Orr's Corner changes will be fully functional before the detour starts on Cloud Corner.
Correct.
Yep. And where are you at on right-of-way progress for any of these? You know where they're nearing completion?
Yeah, we have two properties, and I think there's one which is potentially going to condemnation, which means it will just go through the right-of-way process.
And how does that affect the timeline?
It doesn't affect the timeline. I think once condemnation occurs, we get possession of the property, which means that we can start work, but the owner and the state then go through an extra process going through the court system to work out an appropriate means of compensation.
Well, I don't mind putting on the record, I have political challenges with this lack of full cooperation from adjoining landowners. And so I'm just saying it for the record that I'm really not comfortable saying yes to anything in these projects when you have a property owner who's being impacted. So it doesn't mean that I'm going to get in the way of anything. I'm just very concerned about this. We've had 12 plus years to get people on board, surrounding property owners on board. It's not a reflection on you or anybody else specifically. It's just, this is a very sad process that we spend this many years and we still haven't been able to satisfy the most impacted property owners around this project. And I realize you're saying there's a probability of condemnation. You're not speaking that it is, but we've known that was a potential as well. So,
and people are attached to their land and they think it's worth what it's worth, and sometimes there's a difference of opinions. People, what they think it's worth, and then that's the process that they go through to try and resolve that difference of opinions.
Yeah. I don't have anything else.
I appreciate your willingness to compromise on some of these issues and to take the feedback that you received and integrate that in the project. I do have some philosophical pain points with condemnation. I was involved in a wastewater project in Falls City where the original site of the lagoons was optimal for certain reasons, but the property owner had no interest in converting that property, and that was our project, and I did not have the stomach to force the issue. This is an ODOT project, and it's unfortunate, but hopefully that can be resolved where both parties are satisfied. You spoke with some farmers' reticence about the project itself, the roundabout itself. I think once this project is operational, we should continue. Our ODOT ought to continue its public outreach to get people used to it. I was in Wisconsin in the early 2000s, and they instituted roundabouts throughout the city that kind of came up intermittently. And I can tell you, it took many times before I didn't feel stress entering that roundabout. Once I got used to it, I understood the value of it and just the fact that it will save lives, literally. But anything we can do to help educate the public on how best to approach these and give them even visualizations of how it works, we can't do enough of that. Especially since it'll be kind of a single standing roundabout in the area. So many folks, this will be the only one they encounter. So hopefully we can give you some good ideas on how to do that.
Yeah, we have a similar facility that's existing in a rural area. I think it's out near Forest Grove and
Board.
Yeah, Vermont. And we have some videos on our website which show how that works. And it's very similar in terms of scale and size. So I've been with people who have been asking questions, how would it work? And I guess seeing the drone video, runs for 40 minutes if anyone wants to watch it. But it shows you how, all different types of vehicles navigate through the roundabout. And yeah, it's a big shift in people's mindsets, because we don't have roundabouts here. People are naturally scared or apprehensive of what they don't know. And when you think about roundabouts, you think about them in urban centers where they're really small.
Right.
And so when you think of something really small, you think, oh, how's that going to work out here? But when you look at the scale of this roundabout, it's 2/3 the size of a football field. Because that's what it needs to be to operate in this type of environment. So I think once people see the size and scale, they'll be pleasantly surprised and they think, oh yeah, it's not something that's really tiny. It's a mind shift for people to see how they use these things. And like I said, there's still going to be accidents, but the difference is the severity of accidents of people using roundabouts. You've got minimal points of contact where people are coming in at lower speeds. They're not coming in, not getting T-boned at these high speeds. People understand, they're probably still going to be accidents. It's the severity of accidents. People aren't going to die when they get into a car crash. That's the primary difference between a stop control or even a traffic signal. So I guess I just want to. Yeah, I think continuing education, and as an organization, we've got a long way to educate people. Those roundabouts come up in different parts of the state. They're not going away. They're only going to become commonplace because of the benefits that they have to improving safety on the roads.
Has there ever been discussed to have a live cam? I think it was discussed internally, at least for a short period of time, to see the actual roundabout in action. Outside example.
Probably we'll do some, again, similar footage or drone footage of, the roundabout in operation. Once we do that as part of, continuing education. We have to have a chat with our ITS people to get some of that stuff installed. Unfortunately, getting live footage, it's not as easy. I mean, you can get it and like have a live camera, but it's expensive data transmission and all that. It's a real big cost. You know, that's why you'll see on ODOT highways, you know, we have these JPEG cameras, which are just, they're fixed image cameras. And one of the reasons we have those fixed images is just because of the cost. If we tried to do live footage to all these locations, our ongoing maintenance costs would just shoot through the roof. So the fixed image cameras, they grow, but they don't really convey how things are moving.
Right.
So I guess that's where our compromise is probably, you know, sending someone out there with a drone to go see how it looks for a couple of hours. That's what we probably share with people how it works.
We're bored if you watch that video. When you turn up the volume, you hear the drone humming in the background, but it's pretty good.
It just shows what it is.
It's a good one.
Yeah, no, it's a good view, but it's not really representative of what this intersection is going to actually be. And so I would, first of all, answer your question in as much as I tried for some time for this intersection to get that video process in play. That wasn't going to happen. Todd and I also worked at trying to get them to at least put up a temporary camera at Purport to give us a live view so we could see, well, different hours of the day, peak times, what traffic actually looks like there. Couldn't get that done either. So the drone, that one drone video is the result of our asking to get that done. And it was a setup. It wasn't during a peak time. And so it doesn't really represent what this traffic is going to look like, especially at peak time. And I think that's some of the challenges that we have. At the very least, my recommendation, take it back to whomever would listen, is go back and do it again and try to focus on peak time traffic so you can see really what the interaction with drivers looks like during peak time traffic now at Purport, because it is considerably more than when that video was shot. And it is when it's doing it in a way that's not staged. So, because part of that was a truck process to show the truck ability for trucks to get through. I don't believe there was ever any farm equipment shown through that video.
Big one.
No, it wasn't. Yeah. But anyway, I think just updating that one, again, you got a drone team that could do it. Yeah. And they could go back and update that one at least so that we have more updated information. Because I think that's the biggest challenge that we have for folks that, again, everyone fears the unknown. They're not familiar with it, to your point. Nobody's walked in for a roundabout in the middle of ag country. Same argument that your traffic safety folks said about controlled intersection lights. But so it's going to take a while for people to get used to it. But I think it would help if we had a better education format to refer people to, all of us, and just something that was more up to date would be useful.
Yeah. Experiences, educational process, future roundabouts, Kings Valley highways, ups, what information people can get up with.
I really think that'd be great because they've been up there 4 years now and those people know how to operate. So if we can see that and people can watch it in peak time and see how people interact and get through it easy.
One thing is we heard from folks. I can pull something on my phone. I'm having a conversation with an elderly couple or something to show them how it works at different times and coach them a bit. I mean, that's.
Well, I could tell you, I've never had an educational piece from ODOT about how you're even supposed to use them. I mean, I don't know. I'm just assuming the person to the left has the right of way.
Oh, okay.
I'm just assuming that they have the right of way. So that means I'm going to come to a full stop if that roundabout's full. I mean, if they're coming, generally people don't use a turn signal. They don't know what they're supposed to do with them. So they just get into them. They just drive.
Yeah, people typically don't know how to use a roundabout all that well. I mean, I speak from experience because I come from a country where roundabouts are commonplace. And so typically what you're meant to do is if you're going straight, you don't put your signal on. But if you're taking a left turn, so if you're taking the third leg on the roundabout, then you put your signal. But then when you come off the roundabout, then you put your opposing signal on to indicate that you're coming off the roundabout. I've never seen anyone do it. Like that. So that's what I do, but I've never seen anyone do that.
You have to feel the flow.
Yeah.
And you're right, when they become ubiquitous, it'll just, people get used to it. But when
Yeah.
it's a single anomaly in a rural area, it's going to be an adjustment.
Well, again, it becomes familiar for those who live there, but
That's right.
you know, again, 99W has a lot of traffic that are not necessarily every day. So it only takes that one person that panics and seizes up and hits the brakes.
We do have some educational material on how to use a roundabout, so I'd be more than happy to share that with you. And if you want to share that out with your constituents,
Yeah.
You can share that with all three of you.
It'd be awesome. Maybe put on the website for the worst corner project.
It's already
It's
on
already
the
there?
website, but yeah, maybe you have to dig through it to get. I'll send you guys an email.
I can say that I prefer them. The lights, it's easier on the brakes. You just get the flow. You're always moving. It's rare that you're actually stopping for a roundabout. It's very rare. But it will be an adjustment.
Yes.
And Coomer, I just want to tell you and your team, thanks for listening to our concerns and addressing all of them. Yeah, you've been a stand-up guy throughout this whole thing. So thank you for your efforts and willing to work with us. And I know Todd and Austin both will echo those sentiments. And it's gonna be exciting to see dirt moving and getting to the point where actually getting this done. It's been a long time coming. So thank you. So one question though, in this, I was asked this the other day, in the center of the roundabout, is there going to be any rock fixtures or anything there? Or is it just going to be flat paved stones so we can get our combine headers over everything?
It's like a decorative rock circle. They've just got some grounded rock in the middle. So it's all low. I think it's probably maybe 1.5 feet high at the top. But it's just like
Just
a decorative pattern of rock in the middle.
okay.
But you gotta understand, there's 20 feet of roadway and there's another 20 feet of mountable curve.
Apron.
You've got in the center, you I guess what you call decorative art installation.
Perfect. Yeah, that's how it was described to me, but that was been months ago and I've never heard it described since.
Okay.
So I got asked that the other day and I said, no, we'll ask him next time I see him. So yeah.
Aesthetics matter.
Well, and then they've got all different types of art installations. And I think with this one, we're just looking for just kind of low maintenance and not having to go out there. But something that just isn't just concrete as well.
Perfect. Any other questions?
Thanks so much.
Kumar, thank you very much.
May I ask what the process is for, like, I guess with the closures, do I have to get some sort of rubber stamp or how does that work? The road closures.
So Todd, for the road closures, do we need to approve anything or give him something in writing?
I think just as those closures, as he's describing.
Okay.
And that would be the question. If you want that to come back to you in the form of a board memo, I'll do that.
Okay.
And I think I'd like to see a board memo and it absolutely indicates the dates for the times. Well, there's dates of the closures.
Day ranges.
I mean, I'm happy to say yes to that as long as we have an understanding of the conditions by date, the timelines.
Yep.
Which makes it harder for your management team because it means that they've got to get it done in that time frame.
Yeah, we've talked about it and we think it's what we've proposed is realistic timeframes. So we're confident in the dates and the ranges that we've given in this little memo. So I'm happy to start to that.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right.
It is so far.
I think we can just work through Todd. If you'd like to work up that for us and present it on the board. All right. We'll use that approval. Give them moving forward.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kumar. Next up, non-listed items.
Back around the table again, just to check in to see. We'll follow up. August 23rd, I'd asked about the monthly reports that just on the website and the yearly reports for the sheriff's office. You were going to check into that
Okay.
in a few months. So I'm just following up to see where we're at with that. It just lists on the website monthly and year-end reports. But in the last year, I don't see any monthly ones listed at all every month. And they have 2017 and 18 and 21, but not 19 and 20.
I'll be meeting with the sheriff today. I'll throw that right at him. So he does, he gives bi-monthly reports, quarterly reports with us. Sheriff. On every 3 months? Monthly? Okay. So he has been here consistent. I just wasn't sure exactly how often. He comes here to the board and gives
It's quarterly now, right, Nicole?
every other month? Every other month?
Every year.
Every other month?
It was every month up until last year. Just
Yeah.
when I've gone back and reviewed since 2016, but I'd asked Nicole, but it changed.
Every other month now. So it's on record here. So it's in our minutes. All his reports will be in our minutes. But
No, I'm
And on the-
asking about
on the
their
website.
office for
In our-
transparency.
and I will,
He lists, if you go onto his year-end reports,
Mhm.
it says also in there that please take a moment to look at our monthly reports from your sheriff's office. These reports are a snapshot of the activity of the sheriff's office, both patrol and corrections.
I
So
will
that's
address him
really-
this morning. I'll ask him. I'll ask him this morning.
Okay. And then all right, will we be able to, Maddie's asking if we're going to be able to have a meeting. We haven't heard back from you on that.
With the advisory board member, yeah, I did talk to her about it. It's just a scheduling thing. It's a busy time of year for her. So we're probably looking beginning sometime in the beginning of next year, 2023.
Oh, so
I'll
not
get back to you with some dates. Yeah, she's
Okay.
a busy woman.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That question's just been a question.
I did talk to her a bit about it, and she said she would be happy to sit down.
Okay, that would be great. And then I don't know if it's a rule, and I guess I just wanted to clarify and ask, I know I sit on a couple boards myself, and there's board rules of how, when you respond, for public comment. And I don't know, I know Mr. Smith has a job to do to give counsel, and I respect that. That's his job. And I always feel like attorneys have a way of, that's their job. But I also know there can be rules of how you respond to somebody. I'll just cut to the chase. I was disappointed as a mom and as a citizen also in the response when my daughter came here 4 weeks ago. Was very brave. It was her first public statement of sharing a little bit of her experience, and it was a challenge that her therapist gave her, as well as a paper she was writing at college. And the feedback and response that I got from family and friends that saw the video online afterwards was kind of telling. As our elected officials, you have a rule where on record you can't just nod your head and say thank you for coming, thank you for sharing. Is there a legal rule or something, Mr. Smith, that they cannot like?
Are you concerned about the board's decorum at the meeting that your daughter appeared at?
Yes, that's correct. So I don't know if there was legal advice given prior to her sharing, or Mr. Pope had said, 3 minutes. That's all, 3 minutes.
And
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I have 3 minutes? I mean,
I guess that's up to the board chair.
Well,
But in all
board chair-
fairness to anybody else who would come in here
Mhm.
and use an unscheduled or unagendized element, we should have some limitations, how much time do we give people?
Sure.
The chair does have discretion, but we generally public bodies will have, it's usually 3 to 5 minutes
Sure.
for public comment, and then chairs can make exceptions.
Sure.
It's pretty standard.
Right. Well, she hadn't even sat down to give her name and it was 3 minutes. If that was your daughter, would you do that with your family member or daughter? Or if you have a daughter, I don't know your family situation, but when she's giving a victim, she's dating, nobody had up to that point. I mean, I know Mr. Felton did share on domestic violence because of the trial that was just ending at the end of the month. But prior to that, nobody in that month of October had, shared about domestic violence or made any kind of statement of domestic violence, teen dating violence, the context of what that month was. So with her coming up to give that statement of being a victim and now moving into a role of being a survivor, you don't feel like, I don't know, what is your why the response? I mean, I'm asking as a citizen, as a female, as a daughter, as a mother, as an aunt, as a woman coming into this room with you men, asking, why was your response so cold and just?
So my response to you is, I don't know what this is about.
It doesn't,
Okay.
you don't have to have
And
details.
I didn't know what her reason for addressing the board was. None of that was prefaced ahead of time.
It's her making a statement.
Okay, well, I'm not going to argue with you. You ask a question, I'm giving you an answer.
Okay.
So, bottom line is you're addressing the board with your concern about, what I've been able to glean so far, you're addressing us, concerns about other elected officials. And
No, I'm
this board hasn't had any interaction with your case and your concerns. We're not a part of that. So I don't know why we're hearing from you specifically. And I don't know how I can be of help in your concerns. So I don't understand what this interaction is about,
okay.
but I listened to her. I'm sympathetic, empathetic. I understand the position that she took. I do agree it was brave, but
Okay.
I don't understand why we were being editorialized
Oh, I
and
just,
what the outcome is expected to be from that.
you don't have to know somebody's story. You don't have to know the details to be able to have just empathy and kindness
I
Sure.
think I did approach your daughter after the meeting.
Right.
Pressed out.
afterwards.
I didn't know the subject of her testimony prior to her talking to, and I was very moved by it.
Okay.
But we're also a decision-making body. There's no decision before us. We're here to listen, and she was there to exercise her right to address a public body.
Right.
And I did approach her in person after the meeting.
Right.
If that wasn't sufficient, I'm willing to hear suggestions, but certainly internally that was not what I was feeling. Coldness was not what I was feeling.
No, not, I'm sorry. No. I'm trying to answer questions for her too. I'm trying to give her some understanding of how things like this work. She has been trying to navigate for the last 14 months how the system works, how the justice system works, how law enforcement is supposed to work. She's grown up in her 19 years now, seeing it one way because of how we've raised her, because of who our family is, because of her interactions that have always been very positive and good with law enforcement. And that shifted, that changed 14 months ago. And she had trauma from the experience, but she has significant secondary trauma from how responses have been from her situation. And so as her mom, I'm trying to navigate that for her. I'm trying to help her step of the way, figure it out. And teacher, you have questions, you go to the people and you ask. You approach them, ask the questions so that she can have healing from. But as she's my, how her brain works and everything, we went back and she watched other videos. And so, for example, the group that came in that was angry and upset about the Wells Fargo building. When some of them were very nice and kind, I mean, they expressed their opinions, they expressed their upset, about the situation, and then and then afterwards it was, thank you for coming. Thank you all for coming. Your comments will be heard. They are heard. Like that was, and when she was done, it was just, that was her interpretation of, we have, again, men that don't, can't even say, think. And then, yes, you coming up and talking to her afterwards. But she said they can't say it on record. They can't say, because of course her interpretation is she thinks Mr. Smith is telling me not to say anything because Steph Garten is this and that. I mean, that's, so I said, I will go and ask them why they can't say on record so that people can hear. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
So Mandy, you have my apologies. Because what you do to the boy is very brave, especially for her age. And I also approached afterwards, but on record, I should have thanked her for coming. Just an oversight. With your situation, I don't know how we can help, because you're talking about the justice system that we have no control over or no input on. They're all elected officials and they're all in their own thing. And as much as I'd love to have some conversation with them and have some input on what they do, or the quality of life crimes that we're experiencing and lack of prosecuting, I totally understand. But unfortunately, I went through this and everywhere I went, you just get a closed door. And so I feel for you and I feel for your daughter. Seriously, as a father, I totally get it. And I wish there was something I could do. I don't know what it is, but addressing issues like the website and reports on that, I'll take care of that this morning. So I would like to call you so I can give you a report of what I did. So what's your phone number? 884 9597.
It's silly. Some of these things for her, it brings some kind of, like with these reports, brings some kind of control. Like she feels like control. She can be reading the reports and going, okay, they're doing their. She's 19. I mean, they don't have to listen to her. They don't have to listen to me. They've already expressed how they feel about us, but I just always say it comes down to being transparent and honest, kind, and we get to a point where we really struggle, as our family has, with transparency for one thing, and then a lot of times it just feels like, so I apologize for being a little about when are we going to meet, because I mean we've been waiting to meet people since September.
The advisory board member who's a citizen volunteer, and she's sympathetic to these issues, and she'd be a good person to talk to. I just have to respect.
Sure. No, we just want to be able to work through the issues and the problems. We're not able to go to this sheriff advisory team because that's what Sheriff Garten has decided. So then the next best thing is, okay, well then let us read the reports. and just tell us, I mean, because there's still, the $1 million question that I continue to give back. And I know for Mr. Smith, I've emailed him on it and asked him, and nobody can comment. And I don't understand why they can't. But when we have an issue of drugs were the thing for a long time, drinking and driving was the thing for a long time, vaping was the thing for a long time, and now I have the sheriff's office just laughing and saying, well, rough sex is just the thing. It's just the thing kids do, and strangulation, it's strangulation. They call it rough sex, choking. And so then I'm asking, give me the definition. Then explain to me as a mom, if this is just the thing that kids do, it's just what they're doing these days. Well, then we need as parents to be aware and advocating and telling our kids there's going to be these people that think this is good. This is not good. This will cause harm to you. This will cause, but nobody wants to have those conversations because it's weird, gross stuff. I guess it is weird, gross stuff. But that's why we need to have the conversations.
Domestic, it's about
Absolutely.
consent. Very under talked about issues in our society in general.
But our sheriff's, we should be able to be talking about it with the ones that are seeing it and taking reports on it and interpreting it in the way they want to interpret it. So, yes. All right, Joey, you ready? Yeah. He's excited. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's helpful.
Have any other non-listed items today?
Sure.
That said, meeting's adjourned.